Hello, everyone. Today we had a very, very interesting panel discussion. The topic that was given to me to talk about this was cyber diplomacy and the role of civil societies in cybersecurity. To simplify, cyber diplomacy is basically a tool, or we can say a diplomatic tool that any nation can use in order to achieve a national interest. And looking at cyber diplomacy in general, you'll agree with me, it is something that is very, very new in Africa. Yes, we have diplomatic engagements. Countries have diplomatic engagements when you come in terms of land, sea, and air. But when you come to cyberspace, this is something that is completely new. And as a regional organization, or as a continental organization, we feel it is very, very important for us to do more engagement in terms of cyber diplomacy, and also encourage nations to consider cyber diplomacy. Because if there is no diplomatic engagement or diplomatic frameworks that exist between countries or among countries in this emerging cyber world, it is going to be very, very difficult for us to eradicate cyber attacks in our various countries, because we have seen a lot of increase in terms of cyber attack, especially on critical national infrastructures. And most instances, these attacks are not done internally. Sometimes attacks are done beyond your borders. And because these attacks are done beyond your borders, it is very, very important for that collaborative framework to exist among countries in order to smoothen the transfer of intelligence, or sharing of intelligence between member states in terms of cyber attack. Yes, there are existing cyber security and cybercrime frameworks, like the African Union Convention on cyber security, cybercrime and data protection, which is also known as the Malabo Convention. And looking at this convention, it is not something that is being signed by all member states within the African Union. So that brings that limitation when you come in terms of a particular country diplomatically engaging another country when you come in terms of cross-border cyber attack. And this makes the whole process look very, very complicated. And because it makes the whole situation look very, very complicated for us at the Africa Cyber Security Alliance, and also our national partners at the national levels in various AU member states, we feel it is very, very important for governments to consider cyber diplomacy. And some states are doing very, very well when you come in terms of cyber diplomacy, and nations are putting up very, very good policies and legal instruments to further strengthen their cyber capabilities. Because you'll agree with me, if there is no legal frameworks, there is no policies in a particular country, obviously that country will serve as a safe haven for cyber criminals. Meaning, if there are no very, very good laws, and regulations, to make perpetrators of cybercrime responsible of their behaviors, that particular country will become a safe haven for cyber criminals. And during our engagement in the security summit, there has been a lot of concerns in relations to attacks coming from out of other countries to another countries. And because of lack of cyber capabilities in some member states, it becomes very, very difficult to engage states into probably, digging down into the possibility of finding the perpetrators of those cyber attacks in other countries. A very good example can be if a particular country, if an organized group of people in a particular country launch a cyber attack against another African country, what are some of the mechanisms in place to make sure if those perpetrators are traced by the country that suffered that cyber attack? What are some of the frameworks that are put in place to smoothen or ease the extradition of those perpetrators into that country to go and face the consequence of their actions? So this is a huge challenge for Africa, and we believe the diplomatic engagements that countries have, that state has, in terms of land, in terms of sea, and in terms of the airspace, the collaborations that states, that nations have, or the collaboration that exists among nations in these specific domains, which is sea, land, and air. We feel it is very, very important for countries to start considering cyber diplomacy, considering having diplomatic engagements to also have diplomatic arrangements in terms of protecting your cyberspace. We are in an era where attacks are increasing by the day, and most of these attacks sometimes are cross-border. And because most of these attacks are cross-border, it makes it look very, very complicated when you come in terms of a country engaging another country. I take an example of my country, which is very, very Gambia, which is very close to Senegal. If Gambia and Senegal is to have a very, very good cordial, cyber diplomacy among ourselves, will really help us, and it will avoid any cyber criminal using the Gambia or Senegal as a launch pad to launch a cyber attack against a particular country or against the other. And also when you look at cyber diplomacy, a very, very good a very, very important aspect of cyber diplomacy is also when you come in terms of sharing of intelligence. Yes, the countries' cyber capabilities are ahead of each other, and some countries are crawling, some countries are in the middle, some are coming up in terms of cyber defense. And we believe countries having a collaborative diplomatic collaboration in terms of sharing of intelligence among states can really help us neutralize or minimize cyber attacks. A very good example is if Senegal can provide cyber intelligence or cyber defense intelligence to the Gambia, if Gambia also can share, cyber defense intelligence with Senegal, this is something that's really, really going to help us. And you'll agree with me, we come into an era where nations, fighting each other, using, weapons of mass destructions, is becoming very, very limited. We getting into cyber warfare. I mean, nations using their cyber capabilities to launch an attack against another nation, thereby crippling their entire critical infrastructure, which may include, energy, transportation, and even military capability. So, cyber diplomacy is very, very important. And as an organization, we will continue to advocate for cyber diplomacy at national level and also at regional level. One important aspect of cyber diplomacy, before I just wrap up, is for Africa's voice also to be heard at the international scene. For Africa to contribute to the global stage when you come in terms of global cybersecurity engagements, which is very, very important, so that we will not be seen as countries that doesn't have voice to add on to global matters in terms of cybersecurity and cyber defense, but also to see us as contributors in terms of cyber defense capability, to protect the integrity and the interests of our nations. So cyber diplomacy is very, very important, and it is beginning to be a talk of states, at the international level. And we believe, Africa cannot be left behind. It's important for us to also engage into these discussions. We contribute